Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the course National and International Affairs. Today I'm going to discuss with you issues faced by contemporary world. As you all know that there are different issues which are currently facing by contemporary world, but today I'm going to discuss with you one of them, which is global warming. As you all know that the world's only truly universal global organizations, the United Nations, has become the foremost form to address issues that transcends national boundaries and cannot be resolved by any one countries acting alone. To its initial goals of safeguarding peace, protecting human rights, establishing the framework for international justice, and promoting economic and social progress. In the 7 decades since its creation, the United Nations has added on new challenges such as climate change, refugees, and AIDS, while conflict resolutions and peacekeeping continue to be among its most visible efforts. The United Nations, along with its specialized agencies, is also engaged in a wide array of activities to improve people's lives around the world, from disaster relief through education and advancement of women to peaceful uses of atomic energy. So, what does it mean by a global warming? Here is a simple definitions, and yes, it's really happening today. Over the last 50 years, the average global temperature has increased at the fastest rate in the recorded history, and many experts see the trend as accelerating. All but one of the 16 hottest years in NASA's 134 years record have occurred since 2000. So, climate change deniers have argued that there has been a pause or a slowdown in rising global temperatures. But several recent studies, including a 2015 paper published in the journal Science, have disproved this claim. And scientists say that unless we curb global warming emissions, average United States temperatures could increase by up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit over the next century. What are the causes which affect the global warming? Global warming occurs when carbon dioxide, CO2 gas, and other air pollutant and greenhouse gases collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiations that have bounced off the Earth's surface. Normally, this radiation would escape into space, but these pollutants, which can last for years to centuries in the atmosphere, trap the heat and cause the planet to get hotter. That's what's known as the greenhouse effect. In the United States, the burning of fossil fuels to make electricity is the largest source of heat trapping pollution, producing about 2 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year. Coal burning power plants are by far the biggest polluters. The country's second largest source of carbon pollution is the transportation sector, which generates about 1.7 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions a year. The good news is that the world is turned around. Carbon dioxide emission in the United States actually decreased from 2005 to 2014. Energy efficient technology and the use of cleaner fuels, and scientists continue to develop new ways to modernize power plants, generate cleaner electricity, and burns less gasoline while we derived. The challenge is to be sure these solutions are put to use and widely adopted. As I said that in coming futures the weather will be hot. So the question is that how global warming linked to extreme weather. Different scientists they agree that the Earth's rising temperatures are fueling longer and hotter heat waves, more frequent droughts, heavier rainfall, and more powerful hurricanes. In 2015, for example, scientists said that in ongoing droughts in California, the state's worst water shortage is 112 years, had been intensified by 15 to 20% by global warming. They also said that the odds of similar droughts happening in the future had roughly doubled over the past century. And in 2016, National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine announced that it's now possible to confidently attribute certain weather events like some heat waves directly to climate change. As we can feel, the impacts of global warming are being felt across the globe. Extreme heat waves have caused tens of thousands of deaths around the world in recent years, and an alarming sign of events to come. Antarctica has been losing about 134 billion metric tons of ice per year since 2002. This rate could speed up if we keep burning fossil fuels at our current pace. Some experts say that causing sea levels to rise several meters over the next 50 to 150 years. So what are the other effects which causes the global warming? Each year scientists learn more about the consequences of global warming, and many agree that environmental, economic, and health consequences are likely to occur if current trends continue. Extreme weather is another effect of global warming. While experiencing some of the hottest summers on record, much of the United States has also been experiencing colder than normal winters. Changes in climate can cause the polar jet stream, the boundary between the cold North Pole air and the warm equatorial air, to migrate south, bringing with it cold. This is why some states can have a sudden cold snap or colder than normal winter, even during the long-term trend of global warming. Climate is the long-term average of weather. Over many years, one cold or warm year or season has little to do with overall climate. It is when those cold or warm years become more and more regular, and we start to recognize it as a change in the climate rather than simply a normal year of weather. Global warming may also lead to extreme weather other than cold or heat extremes. For example, hurricane formations will change, though this is still a subject of active scientific research. Current computer models of the atmosphere indicate that hurricanes are more likely to become less frequent on a global basis, though the hurricanes that do form may be more intense. The next effect is the ice melt. One of the primary manifestations of climate change so far is melting. North America, Europe, and Asia, they all have seen a trend toward less snow cover between 1960 to 215. According to a paper, a research which has been published in 2016 in the journal name is the Current Climate Change Reports. The National Snow and Ice Data Center, this is now 10% less permafrost or permanently frozen ground in the northern hemisphere than there was in early 90s. One of the most dramatic effects of global warming is the reductions in the Arctic sea ice. Sea ice has had to record low extents in both the fall and winter of 2015 and 16. It means that at the time when the ice is supposed to be at its peak, it was lagging. The melt means there is less thick sea ice that persists for multiple years, which means that less heat is reflected back into the atmosphere by the shining surface of the ice, and more is observed by comparatively darker ocean, creating a feedback loop that causes even more melt, according to NASA's operational ice bridge. As you all know that melting glaciers, early snow melt, and severe droughts will cause more dramatic water shortages and will increase the risk of wildfires in the American West. The rising sea level will lead to coastal flooding on the eastern seaboard, especially in Florida and in other areas such as the Gulf of Mexico. The forest, farms, cities, they will face troublesome new pests, heat waves, heavy downpours, and increased flooding. All those factors will damage or destroy agriculture and fisheries. Disruptions of the habitats such as the coral reefs and alpine meadows, they could drive many plants and animals species to extinctions. Allergies, asthma, and infectious diseases outbreaks will become more common due to increased growth of pollen producing ragweed, higher levels of air pollution, and the spread of conditions favorable to pathogens and mosquitoes. So if all these things is happening around the world, what does the United States stands in terms of global warming contributors? In the recent years, China has taken the lead in global warming pollution, producing about 28% of all carbon dioxide emission. The United States comes in second, despite making just 4% of the world's pollution. United States produce a whopping 16% of all global carbon dioxide emissions, such as the European Union and India. As a combined, they are lesser than United States, and the America is still number one by far in cumulative emissions over the past 150 years. their responsibility matters to other countries, and it should matter to them. It is also matter to them. But in order to avoid the worst effects of climate change, United States need to do a lot more together with other countries to reduce their dependence on fossil fuels and start using clean energy instead. The Obama administration and Trump administration, they have provided funds to reduce the carbon pollutions from their power plants by nearly a third by 2030. Also, the United States Department of Transportation, they proposed carbon pollutions and fuel economy standards intended to cut emissions through the 2020s. Under Trump administrations, the Department of Transportation is working to roll back those clean vehicle safeguards that protect the climate and their health. Fortunately, the state's leaders, including in car country itself, recognize that clean transportation must remain a priority if we are to address the costly risk of climate change and protect public health. And the regional efforts around the country are helping to boost the electric car market, which saw an increase in sale for 2017 over 2016. Our clean energy economy is growing too, despite federal efforts to derail it. In 2016, wind employment grew up by 32% and solar jobs increased by 25%. Globally, at the United Nations Conference on Climate Change in Paris, around about 195 countries, including Pakistan, at the time agreed to pollution cutting provisions with the goal of preventing the average global temperature from rising more than 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial times. Scientists say we must stay below a 2-degree increase to avoid catastrophic climate impacts. The next is global warming too big of a problem for me to tackle? Wondering how to stop global warming. Reduce your own carbon footprint by following a few easy steps. Make conserving energy a part of your daily routine and your decision as a consumer. When you shop for new appliances like refrigerators, washers and dryers, look for products with the government's Energy Star label. They meet a higher standard for energy efficiency than the minimum federal requirements. When you buy a car, look for one with the highest gas mileage and lowest emissions. You can also reduce your emission by taking public transportation or carpooling when possible. And while new federal and state standards are a step in the right directions, much more needs to be done. Voice your support of climate friendly and climate change preparedness policies, and tell your representatives that transitioning from dirty fossil fuels to clean power should be a top priority because it's a vital to building healthy and more secure communities. I think that's enough for today. Thanks for watching my videos. Kindly subscribe my channel so that whenever I upload a new lecture, you will get it easily. Thanks a lot and best of luck.